everybody. The dealers are back at their games, and I thought, very naively, I guess, that after the last 5 years of beatings that we've given these dealers about doing markups, that they would catch on, that they would realize that they've done so much damage to their relationship with the general public, to their customers. Whoops, can't see out my mirror. That they would stop the freaking markups, that they would just be grateful to get MSRP. Just be grateful that with prices inflated so incredibly high over the last 4 or 5 years by Stellantis more than anybody, that they would not let greed take over again. Considering it's caused so much pain for these dealers, oh, this car is great, that they've had to endure heavy expenses when it comes to their floor plan, and having massive amounts of overflow or excess inventory that nobody's buying, and still sitting on 2023s, and in some cases I imagine there's still some 2022s sitting around on lots. For sure with Jeeps that's happening. We've seen that in some of my prior videos several times. But now with the new Dodge Charger Daytona EV, here I am thinking that there's no way that these imbeciles would mark that abomination up. They should just be so grateful that anyone would darken their doorstep with a decent credit score and a down payment to take that thing off their hands on maybe a horribly painful lease. And when I say painful, I mean, you're going to spend close to probably $1,000 or more a month, and the residual value on that lease is going to be so horrible if Dodge is smart. But the $7,500 tax credit will offset that, allow them to stick people in lower payments. And if the residual value is really horrible, obviously people are just going to turn those things back in. But if the residual value that they plan for these cars, understand what a residual value is, it's what they believe a car is going to be worth at the end of that lease. Let's say it's a 36 or 39-month lease, what they expect it's going to be worth. But when there's a car that's brand new like this, that's never been for sale, and it's an EV, which have already proven to be the worst depreciating cars on the market, bar none, period, end of discussion. I'm talking 50+% depreciation in the first year with a lot of these EVs, and it only gets worse from there. That they would, if they stick a high residual on these things, they're going to get just clobbered at the end of those 39-month leases, which means without the $7,500 tax credit, they're going to have to charge a pretty enormous payment, considering if they use their brains and just go off of standard EV depreciation. If they look at just Tesla alone, which I think is a good bar to use, they're for sure going to lose, 50%. So at a 50%, I would say even more. Maybe it would drop, it would be 40% of what the MSRP or what the sales price was. I would say even worse than that, but let's just say, they're lucky and they get out at 50%. A good car might be a 60% residual value. That without the $7,500 tax credit, the payment's going to be huge. Here's what's going on. I found today at Putnam CDJR in Burlingame, California, these freaking clowns are putting $10,000 markups on their Daytona Chargers. I'll put up on the screen now. $10,000 market adjustments on these things. Despite all the horrible news, all the concerns about the potential issues with these cars, the tax credit in jeopardy, and also understanding that if they put a markup on these cars, they become virtually impossible to lease. The only way a lease could even be done, in my experience, is they have to take that $10,000 up front in cash, or they have to stuff it into the lease over that 39 months. But with the $7,500 tax credit, they might be able to do that, but then you're back at the same payment close to the same payment you would be without that tax credit. So the tax credit doesn't even matter. So buying the thing at 0% interest right now they've been offering, I know it's supposed to have expired, but I'm sure it's going to continue. At 72 months, you're looking at $1,100, $1,200 a month on a purchase. If you don't pay that up front, and you have, let's just say, on a purchase, 60% of the value depreciates. It goes down to let's say 30 or 40% of the value of the car, and you paid $92,000 for that thing, and you had to pay, in California, for example, the Steelers and Berlin game, let's just say $8,000 more in taxes. You're at $100,000. Even if you were to get a tax credit, you're still $90,000+, and that car, I don't think will hold its value any better than a Mercedes-Benz EQS, which was one in front of me, which have proven to be some of the worst depreciating but nicest EVs on the planet. Some of the most beautiful cars, inside and out. Well, out, I don't know about that. They look kind of like eggs. But inside, they're amazing. They're Mercedes-Benz level quality, and they're dropping over 50% in value in just a matter of a year, 2 years at the most. So if that happens with this EV, saying there's no way this Dodge is going to hold its value any more than a Mercedes-Benz or a Tesla, if you buy that thing, even at 0% interest, and even at $90,000 with that markup, getting a tax credit, if you get that tax credit, which, by the way, if you make more than, I think, $150,000 or so, you don't even qualify for the tax credit, by the way. And if this new administration gets in, there's not going to be any more tax credit, most likely. So let's just say, to be able to buy a $90,000, $100,000 car, you probably make more than $150,000 a year, in my opinion. Otherwise, you probably shouldn't be buying something that expensive, which is crazy because it's a Dodge. It shouldn't be that expensive. You're not going to get the tax credit anyway, so you're back to $100,000. And now, a year or 2 years from now, let's say even if you put $10,000 down on that purchase, or $15,000 down on that purchase, remember, I think it's like 94% of buyers finance, so those of you who pay cash and like to flex in the comments, good for you. You would be just as stupid in this case as well, because you're just burning cash. If you're paying cash for cars, you should always be buying, and I'm sorry, it's just my opinion, you should always be buying post-depreciated used cars with low miles that you can enjoy, drive, and not get that immediate cash beating, that you at least mitigate the cash beating you're going to take, and buy something, you know, a couple years old. Just be smart and safe. You can still get them with the warranties and everything. But let's say now you're in this thing for close to $100,000, and you financed it, you put $10,000 down. Let's say you had a loan for $85,000 or $90,000, and even at no interest, and you're paying $1,100, $1,200 a month, or let's say $1,000 a month to make math easy, you're only paying that thing down by that $12,000 a year. So if you, let's say you keep it for 2 years and you pay it down by, let's say, $25,000, but you're into it, even with your down payment, let's say $100,000 with this markup, you've got a $75,000 loan, or let's just say it's if you put $10,000 down, a $65,000 loan on a car that, if it's anything like these EQSs, is going to be worth $35,000 to $40,000, which means you will still be, 2 years from now, you'll still be wildly upside down. But here's the problem, and this is why nobody leases past 36 to 39 months. And when you buy a car, you finance too long. If you don't plan on keeping it forever, then you end up losing value on that car significantly more. The longer you own it, the more miles you put on it, the more wear and tear. And as the warranty evaporates, you end up having a car that's worth $25,000, and even in 3 years paying, let's say, $36,000 or $40,000 towards that car after paying $100,000, you're still sitting on a $50,000 or $60,000 loan on that car, and it's worth $20,000 to $25,000. So I am doing this video to warn anybody out there who's thinking about buying one of these things and even paying MSRP, that you need to stop yourself. You need to stop yourself and think this one through. I would not buy one. If I did, which I'm not going to, but if I was like hell bent on having one of these things, I would probably try and lease it while the tax credit's still in place if I qualified, which a lot of people don't buying these cars. I certainly wouldn't qualify for the tax credit. So you end up leasing this thing, and let the dealer take the depreciation, because I think right now what you're going to see is Stellantis and Dodge is going to realize that if they lease these things and they don't figure out the residual value properly, they're going to end up undercharging people on the lease payments. And then, especially if the tax credit goes away, they're going to have to. And then being stuck with significantly higher residuals as these cars come back to market 3 years from now, or 36 or 39 months from now, and they're worth $25,000 or $30,000, and they put a 50% residual on an $82,000 car, meaning it's really, they're expecting it to be worth $40,000 or $50,000 3 years from now, and it's really actually coming on the market when you turn that lease in at $25,000 to $30,000. They're going to get killed on those cars. They're going to get creamed on those cars. It's kind of like what's been happening to CarMax and Carvana is all the cars that they bought at higher values have now depreciated significantly, and they can't get what they paid for those cars, and now they're losing money on those cars, which it's got to be creaming them. So they're asking way too much for them. And if you look at CarMax, their prices are still astronomically stupid, but they've gotten stupider. The same thing is going to happen with the Dodge dealers with used Daytonas when they come back on the market and resemble Teslas or EQSs. But keep this in mind, if you go to Tesla and buy a lease return, they're still asking too much for the car. But if you go to Car Gurus, you can find a Tesla Model 3 for $25,000 to $30,000 that was originally $50,000 to $60,000 when it's all said and done with tax and license, everything else. Even after the tax credit, you're looking at 50% depreciation in a year to a year and a half. That's brutal. And I'm talking about people leasing these Dodges for 36 to 39 months. They're thank God they'll be able to give the abomination back to the dealership. The dealership's going to get creamed. But if you buy the car, then you're going to be the one sitting on that thing wildly upside down. And if you pay a markup, you're just going to be burning cash, which, by the way, you're going to lose money on a car. I just think at some point you got to mitigate that loss to where you don't lose so much money that you end up stuck in something. And if you were just eking out the affordability or you were stretching yourself, they end up in a position where you have to repo that car because now you're stuck in it. You're so upside down in it, you have no way out. Just go look at the people with the G-Wagons and the Uruses and all those overly inflated cars, and frankly, any of the EVs over the last few years that people are just buried in. Right now, if you go buy a brand new Tesla, a year later, it's going to be worth probably close to 50% of what you paid for that car if you use the car, put any miles on the car. Could you imagine that losing that much in that short period of time? It used to be that a 3-year lease, a 36 to 39 month lease, you're going to lose 50% of the value to 60% of the value. But now it's way worse. So if you're purchasing that car, the dealer would love you to do it, which is why I think they're doing 0% interest, because you are stuck in that car. You may not have any interest, but you've overpaid for that thing so badly, and if you paid a markup, you really got screwed. And with depreciation, the dealership doesn't have to worry about taking it back, so they're going to be pushing people hard into the 0% financing. I bet you anything they're going to extend that. But bottom line is, this Putnam CDJR, as well as others, I'm sure, we suspected they were going to do that. And when I called a few dealers, it seemed like, they were still up in the air about it. But now these things are actually coming onto the lots with $10,000 markups. You want to know what else is utterly stupid and amazing I saw on TikTok the other day was a lady bragging about her husband who came home with one of those new Volkswagen vans, the Buzz or whatever the hell it is. So this dude went, bought it, came home, so proud, and she's like, look what he came home with. They're all proud and flexing that Volkswagen Buzz or whatever the hell it is. Cool looking van. I mean, if you're in EVs, I mean, it's a cool looking van, no question. And then people are like, I can't believe you pay that. What do you mean $90,000? Those things only go for, they're like $70,000, $80,000. How the hell did you pay $90,000? We got ripped. And then she puts another video showing the sticker, and it's the addendum sticker, and it shows a $10,000 market adjustment on a freaking Volkswagen van, EV van. And the comments are filled with people saying, enjoy the 50% depreciation in 1 year. They're going to be buried in that car. So whatever payment they took to be the first people having that thing, they've hurt themselves so badly financially that it's not even funny. So I'm just doing this quick video or long video to drive this point home that the math is important. And grab your iPhone and do the math and think this one through. Whether you're paying cash or financing or anything, they've overpriced these things and now they're marking them up. And don't get yourself in a position, even if you pay MSRP, you're going to be in a bad position. Wait 6 months. These things will be getting offered with massive incentives if you got to have them. Even the EV credit, if it's gone, they're going to be offering, I'm going to bet anything, and I have yet to have been wrong. They're going to be offering all kinds of incentives and power dollars and crap. We're going back to the old days just to get these 5,800 pound shit boxes off of their dealership. Yet if you bought one for $92,000, you get a special dunce hat, and I get to sit in the corner and stare at the wall just to think about the stupid move that you did and how badly you hurt your family financially and hurt yourself. So with that, everybody, I hope this helps and saves somebody. I really honestly do. I'm headed home from Cars and Coffee to catch up with the wife and do our tree stuff and have a wonderful day. And I hope you all are having a wonderful holiday season. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye-bye. All right, I'm going to turn y'all around. We're going to go through this tunnel. Woo! All right, everybody. Like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.